This is a very important video because I am going to demonstrate for you how important it is for you to be precise and pay attention to detail. On the screen with me is a complaint filed by Mars Khaimov. Mars is extremely active in website accessibility litigation. This complaint was filed on July 17th against Marriott for one of their website properties. So we're going to go through a few of the claims, and I'm going to help you understand what you need to be paying attention to and some of the different considerations and thoughts that you need to have. Okay, so we look at letter A. It says skip to content link was not implemented. Plaintiff was not provided with the mechanism to bypass repeated blocks of content. Then I'm gonna read through letter B too. Landmarks were not properly inserted into the homepage. Plaintiff could not move screen reader focus directly to main and content info regions of the page using landmarks. Okay, these claims are nothing new, right? Especially with skip to content, that's fairly common. But what's important to know is that these are getting at techniques. So techniques to meet the success criteria of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. So with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG, this is the set of requirements that are a technical standard for accessibility. They're not the law, but they do help us determine when a website is accessible and the different considerations we need to make. So these first two letters aren't even technically success criteria. They are techniques to meet the success criteria. So with a landmark, yes, it's best practice if you can have one, but it's important to know what exactly what is the success criteria that the landmark is getting at, and can we meet that in another way? Same thing with the skip to content link. That is a technique to meet a success criterion, but it is not explicitly required by the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And I'm going to read something to you that is actually from the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, the publishers of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It says techniques are informative. That means they are not required. The basis for determining conformance is the success criteria from the standard, not techniques. W3C cautions against requiring sufficient techniques. The only thing that should be required is meeting the WCAG success criteria. So it's important to be aware of that nuance, especially if you were to defend against these claims. Now, Mars has a number of issues listed, and he gets very granular. And what really separates him is his claims are specific to the website. So they're not vague, they're very, very specific, and that is not as often the case for most plaintiffs' law firms. Some plaintiffs' law firms get into more detail, but Mars provides the most detail that I've seen. And I think what's happening is Mars is painting a picture, and he's listing as many potential accessibility issues, or really just suboptimal experiences, where in the aggregate it paints the picture that your website is wholly inaccessible. So it's very, very detailed. Now, continuing on, heading hierarchy on the homepage was not properly defined. It was a missing H3. As a result, quick navigation through headings on the homepage did not help plaintiff effectively find the content of interest. Heading hierarchy is nothing new. Missing headings, this is a common claim. And then, actually, I scrolled past a few things, but I'm going to go ahead and do that because I want to get to another claim here. It says plaintiff tried to follow social media links from the home page and received no prior warning that the links opened in a new window. As a result, plaintiff unsuccessfully tried to get to use the back function of the browser to go to the previous page and found herself disoriented. Well, now let me go to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And this is getting at the guideline 3.2, which is predictable. And there are a number of success criteria under that. So to make a website more predictable, here are the different success criteria of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. But 3.2.5 is, here's what it states. Here's part of the success criteria. This success criterion aims to eliminate potential confusion that may be caused by unexpected changes of context, such as automatic launching of new windows, automatic submission of forms after selecting an item from a list, etc. Notice that automatic launching of new windows. Notice letter F. Plaintiff tried to follow social media links from the homepage and received no prior warning that the links opened a new window. Success criterion 3.2.5 is for AAA conformance. So here we have Mars naming off a claim, but the claim is for AAA conformance. So now we're even beyond the referenced standards, which are not even explicitly required anywhere by law in the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so we don't have, we're working off of, we're using these technical standards as a way to gauge accessibility, but they're not explicitly required. But now we're even going beyond the conformance level of AA into AAA. So I told you that Mars gets very, very specific. This is really getting stringent, right? When we're going into AAA conformance and we have this claim amongst many others. And by the way, let me go back to the PDF. What letter do we go to? Let's see, we got E, F, G, H, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and it goes all the way to Q. I'm scrolling past it, but I've scrolled down the list. It goes all the way to letter Q. I don't know how many claims that is, but that is a lot. I mean, this is more detail. This is more specific than any other plaintiff's law firm that I've looked at their complaints for. And so you need to be aware of this. You need to be aware, what are the plaintiff's lawyers looking for? And in the case of Mars Khaimov, he is looking for a lot. Really, with going through and looking at these claims in the aggregate, it's like he's requiring perfect accessibility in a way. And again, I go back to, I think what Mars is doing is he's painting a picture, right? So maybe it's not like the AAA conformance. Maybe it's not that specific issue that leads to a complaint filed, but it's other issues coupled with that which lead to telling a story that is seemingly overwhelming when we start going through it, and when you really don't understand the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, what is required for conformance, what is sufficient to meet the different success criteria. And so this is getting really, really specific. And it is one of the many reasons why I recommend my ADA compliance course, because in this course, I tell you what the most active plaintiffs' law firms are looking for, what they are claiming over and over in litigation. And so I've gone through all complaints for almost all of the plaintiffs' law firms, the regulars, right? The plaintiffs' law firms that we see continually engaged in website accessibility litigation. I've gone through their complaints and I look for what are the accessibility issues that they're claiming and what are the ones that keep coming up over and over again. It's really a core group of 15, and there are some other claims but you really want to focus on those 15 because, as I was talking about before, it's really there are some accessibility issues that I think act as a starting point, and then you start having more claims piled on top of it, and and so you have to be aware of this level of detail. And by the way, some of these issues that are named in this complaint are not going to turn up in an audit, even a well done audit. It won't turn up. So some audits might not, or some audits may have them, others may not. But attention to detail and precision and accuracy is very, very important. And I highly recommend my ADA compliance course because I have carried that precision, accuracy, and attention to detail over into the course. And I've prioritized all of the issues so you know that the issues you need to pay attention to first, and then I train your team on how to find and fix the various different issues. So there's really strategy, approach, implementation, execution. It's all embedded within the course. I really made the course to be something that's streamlined so that anybody that signs up can immediately start going through the course and get started, because that's what you need to do to prevent litigation. You need to know exactly what to do, and then you need to take action. And so my course is aligned with that. But going back to this video, Mars Khaimov is very, very specific. So you need to be aware of the different accessibility issues that Mars and other plaintiffs' lawyers are looking for. I will link to my course in the description below.